Raising penalties and strengthening rehabilitation for those who commit family violence. These are among the key thrusts of 16 recommendations put forth by a task force to the government. The recommendations are aimed at breaking the cycle of family violence. They complement year-long conversations on women's development that will culminate in a white paper next year. Specialist centres are seeing a rise in family violence cases and inquiries. New cases went up by 14% last year and inquiries by over 40%. The task force says this could be due to the pandemic and increased outreach. It is proposing to further raise awareness of family violence, especially among couples getting married, and to enhance emergency response when incidents are reported. Other recommendations focus on legal protection for victims, and these include amending the Women's Charter, so those who breach personal protection orders face harsher penalties. Currently, the maximum penalty for first-time offenders is 6 months jail and a $2,000 fine. The task force also suggests allowing appointed third parties to apply for such orders on the victim's behalf. Zooming in on perpetrators, proposals include giving the courts the power to order those with mental health conditions to seek assessment and treatment. The task force says the government could consider making it an offence to breach such orders. It also urges the government to study the need for a mandatory residential rehabilitation program for high-risk offenders.
The whole idea of having the enforcement action is to make sure while we do the rehab and we take on the enforcement, the survivors are protected.
The task force studied data from thousands of family violence cases over the past 1.5 years to identify gaps and areas for improvement. The government says it will carefully consider the recommendations.
We hope to still bring families together. That is why our recommendations cover 4 broad thrusts, from raising awareness of what family violence is about, to increasing the number of help channels, to strengthening the powers to protect the victims and survivors of family violence, and finally, to look into initiatives to help in the rehabilitation of the perpetrators.
One community group that works with family violence victims and perpetrators says the recommendations will make it easier to ensure they get the help they need, such as counselling.
Currently, for some of the cases, especially for perpetrators, when they don't turn up for the sessions, there are lack of consequences. And without access to the perpetrators, we can't really support or help the family holistically. But with the strengthening of the enhancement of these orders, then we would be able to see the perpetrators, connect with them, understand their concerns, their challenges,